Hi, I'm Carol Speakerman, president of Speakerman Retail. A six-word phrase has been on my radar for a while, but now even more so. It's something I talk about all the time in my platform positioning workshops and masterclasses because it's so important to my clients' B2B strategy. But it also is one of those things that you hear about in a press release or an announcement, then everybody just seems to forget about it and move on. Today, I want to shine a spotlight on that six-word phrase. Here it is. In the newly created role of. Retailers and brands are creating all kinds of new roles with titles that retail's never seen before. Initially, a lot of this was about them integrating their online and offline businesses, and that's still the case. But now it's going to the next level as retailers explore the metaverse, NFTs, mixed reality, and next level sustainability initiatives, among other things. But as part of that, there's a new cast of characters migrating in and out of retail. And most of these folks no longer have traditional retail backgrounds. In fact, I've been saying that there's an alien invasion underway in retail as all of these new faces hit the scene. But what it all rolls up to is no two retailers have the same structure anymore. They're terminally unique. And those predictable org charts of buyers, DMs, GMs, merchants, and marketers that may have gotten your business where it is today just won't drive your opportunities going forward. Those cookie cutter structures of the past are definitely crumbling. Just this past month, Walgreens created a chief product officer role, Target hired its first chief guest experience officer, Lululemon hired a global creative director for the first time, and Home Depot now has an EVP of customer experience. Now, some of those titles sound really practical, and they are, but you have to know that they're unprecedented within these organizations. And you also have retailers like Crate and Barrel recently putting on the sprinkles by promoting their VP of Product Design and Development to the newly created role of SVP of Product Design Development and, wait for it, Metaverse. But despite some of the phrasing flourishes that you'll start to hear, you have to know that these new roles, they're not just meaningless, fluffy titles. They really are directional markers for each retailer's unique strategies and priorities. And that's why it really pays to track them and parse them out. By all means, don't make the mistake of seeing this inevitable influx of new faces and changing roles as an obstacle. And notice that I use the term inevitable. I always tell my clients that inevitabilities can't be threats because this is the stuff that's going to happen whether we like it or not. So the opportunity is to work with it and use it to your advantage, not to fight the system. This holds true really for any B2B situation in retail, whether you sell products, solutions, or services, or whether you're a retailer positioning for B2B opportunities, maybe even with your competitors, which increasingly is the case. But if a retailer or brand is creating, for example, new customer experience roles, which are becoming more common, then it pays to look for ways to position your products and solutions as enhancing customer experience. Now that sounds obvious, but it's not in my experience, because I still see so many companies pitching their products and solutions as answers to a perceived problem, rather than doing that deeper research and looking at each retailer's unique strategies. Taking it a step further, you can also learn a lot by tracking the career trajectories of some of these new hires. For example, going back to Lululemon's new creative director, he actually worked at Nike a couple of roles before that, where he oversaw growth across all kinds of diverse categories. So to me, that clearly signals that Lululemon is looking to category expansion for growth. Going back to Home Depot's new EVP of Customer Experience, he actually is the former EVP and Chief Information Officer for Home Depot. And in that role, he led far-reaching IT infrastructure and software initiatives that were all steeped in technology, very complex across the enterprise. So obviously, it's not going to be just a simple customer experience role. They're going to be talking about the technologies that will drive customer experience. And of course, that can present some opportunities for companies that provide those solutions. So I encourage everyone to read those press releases, look at those earnings transcripts, because it's all there and it's very helpful to your positioning. And I'll leave you with two more pieces of advice. First of all, don't be dismissive. It's so easy to look at initiatives like the metaverse and say, well, this is a bunch of hooey, or to debate whether or not retailers should even be investing in it. But if they're taking it seriously, you should be taking it seriously. And that brings me to the next tip. Don't be so literal. Your products and services might have nothing to do with the metaverse. But what does the metaverse symbolize? What's the why behind it? Well, the metaverse is obviously digital forward. It speaks to companies stepping out and wanting to go first, which tells you a lot about the types of companies that are doing that, and it tells you a lot about their philosophy. The metaverse is also geared toward bringing in new generations of shoppers, and it's a clear diversification play. So that's just one example of how there are so many elements to these roles and to these new initiatives that you can hang your hat on, even if it doesn't seem to literally connect to what you do. So the cookie cutter models of the past are definitely crumbling, but the crumbs will lead you to new and more relevant positioning strategies in retail. So it absolutely makes sense to follow them.